Hi, Nikki. So thank you for coming on today. I really wanted to share your story because you've had such an incredible journey since starting working with me. And I know that that's going to be really inspiring for other women who are in a similar place to where you were when we first started working together. So that's my hope of sharing your story today, of just letting people see what's possible when they step into this space and hearing from someone who's actually been through the journey. So well, let's just start by telling us, where were you at before we started working together?
When I first started with you, I was so lonely, I think, at that time. I was just working full time, living on my own, and I really didn't have much outside of work that I was doing. So, yeah, I was really unhappy, really lonely, just really not in a good place.
Mm-hmm. And how were you, what was your relationship with your body like at that time?
I don't think I knew there was such thing as a relationship between my body. I did not have a good relationship with my body. I didn't have any kind of relationship with myself really at all, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
I had no connection.
Yeah. And how did you feel about your body? Like, what were your challenges and fears, I guess, there?
Well, I was a little bit overweight, so I wasn't really happy with the way that I looked.
Mm-hmm.
I probably beat myself up about that every chance I got.
Yes.
um, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't good.
Yeah. And so through the work that we did together, and I know, thank you for sharing, because I know it's a bit hard to remember because you've come such a long way since that time. Um, but what were the three things that made the biggest impact for you? What were the three things that made the biggest difference?
Knowing I wasn't alone, I think, was one of the biggest ones. Just having someone to talk to
Yeah.
that understood me for the first time, I think, ever. So that was probably the biggest one. And then just being able to um, receiving the tools, I suppose, that I needed to make a change
Mm-hmm.
and implementing them and having someone there to be able to feed back on what was going on. And then just the introduction to my female body that I hadn't really connected with at all before.
And what was that experience like? Because that's a really big part of the work. So what was that like for you, or what is that like now? Like, and that's probably good. Like, what initially, what was it like? And then now, what is that like for you?
Yeah. Well, initially, I think that there was no realization that she existed.
Mm-hmm.
So it was probably a constant denial of her.
Mm-hmm.
So the initial connection was really hard to trust that I was connecting with her and what that meant to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then now it's just second nature. Like, she's there and I'm always acknowledging her and checking in with her, and that makes a huge difference on everything that I do daily. What I eat, how I move my body, all that sort of thing.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. And let's talk about the eating for a while, because this is, obviously the biggest thing, or one of the biggest things that most people come to see me about. And it's, it's one of the hardest things because there's so much different information out there and we are so overwhelmed. What shifted for you around your eating?
I think because I was an emotional eater, so I would just eat all the time, like if I was sad, if I was happy. And I think it was learning that there were other things that I could do to feel good, or to celebrate feeling good, or to help support myself when I wasn't feeling so good. So then I didn't turn to food
Mm-hmm.
to feel those emotions or not feel those emotions.
Yeah. So that's huge. That's quite different.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I still sometimes I'm human,
yeah.
but yeah.
No, and that's,
for the most part, it's not. That's
and that's you know, that's one of the biggest things that we stressed a lot. I know through your journey, and I know I stress with all of the women that I work with, is that it is a journey, and you know, we're undoing lifetimes of conditioning and shame and guilt and patterning around all of these. And I actually don't believe that it's possible that we get to a place where we're 100% perfect with this kind of stuff. It is a journey, and we are going to have those times, I guess, where we do emotionally eat. But I know what's made the biggest difference for me, and I know from your journey and from the other women going through my program, is, as you mentioned earlier on, having the tools to recognize when that's happening and know what you need to do instead to take care of yourself. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So
and
now,
sometimes you still know that you choose to just, I'm going to allow myself to do that today.
Yeah.
And then that's okay. Yeah.
So that's a completely different experience as well then, rather than going through that process unconsciously and then going down that rabbit hole of beating yourself up and feeling guilty for it. What it sounds like is that then there's a permission around that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And now I know this journey, like, you've had an incredible journey. Actually, you know what? I'd love to hear, and I'm sure everybody else would love to hear, where are you now? Give us a snapshot of where you are now and what life is like for you now.
Life is so different now. I'm currently only working part-time. I live in like the center of town where I am now, so really close to the beach, really close to yoga and all those things that I love to do. And I'm just happy. Like, everyone has their down days, but it's just so different. I can't even explain the change. Like, your down days are not the same as my down days used to be, and there's a way to work through it so it doesn't feel so big all the time. Life just kind of travels along nicely.
And what's I know we kind of touched on this, but in terms of your eating now, what's that like? And your movement as well. You did touch on movement earlier, so what's that, I guess, the relationships to your movement and to your eating now, where are they?
So eating is so different. I just eat to fuel my body now. Like, I just eat as much as I need to. I eat delicious foods. I like cooking, which I never used to enjoy cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, it used to be something that I thought about every second of every day. Like, what am I going to eat? How am I going to eat? Am I eating too much? And now it's just, oh, it's lunchtime. Like, I'm hungry. This is what I'm going to have. And it's just so easy. Like, it's just not even a thought anymore. And movement's so different as well. For so long, I just, I injured my ankle probably a year ago now. So I'd just been walking and doing yoga, and I really didn't want to go to the gym. So I just didn't. I wanted that. But about a month ago, I just had an urge to go back. So I've been training at the gym for a month, and it's been so good. So different, like, in terms of what I do, but just so nice to be back in that environment again.
Awesome. And how do you feel about your body at the moment or now? What's that relationship?
Most days I love her.
Human as well. Again, it's a journey. We're not aiming for perfection.
Yeah, no, really good. Yeah, really happy with where I'm at. More confident. And I just feel good within myself most of the
time. And now what I'd love to hear from you as well is, what were, I guess, the biggest challenges? Because, you've had this incredible journey and you're really experiencing the benefits of the work that you put in, but that didn't just fall into your lap. You're only in the place you're in now because of the work that you did and the challenges that you took on and faced. So what were the things that you found hardest about adopting this new way of relating to yourself, relating to your food, and living your life?
I think it's just trusting in it
Mm-hmm.
and trusting yourself and just putting in the time. Like I was really at a point where I just didn't want to feel the way I felt before. So it wasn't like a challenge necessarily to make a change because I really, really wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just about taking it slow. I think that was the best thing I think you said to me. One of our second sessions was like, because I said that I enjoyed running, but I hadn't been running because it was too hard. Like I couldn't run for a minute without feeling like I had to stop. So you just said run for 5 minutes, I think it was, and then go up. And it took me like 2 sessions of running and I was up to 18 minutes. Like it was just that permission to take it slow, and that kind of transfers to everything, is just take one step at a time. And we didn't introduce the my female body for quite a while. Like initially we didn't get there, and then I think it was like 3 or 4 months in, and then that was the time for it. Like I was ready for that next step. So it was just taking the steps and trusting and just being kind to yourself too.
Yeah. And
like the biggest challenges were trusting my female body, I think.
Yeah.
That was one of the biggest things, is like, oh, I'm injured. Why am I injured? That I've done everything that I should be doing. And then you take a step back and it's like, well, actually, I've talked about doing it, but I haven't done it. So it was just recognizing, what I was putting in place and what I just thought I was putting in place.
And that's really powerful, because our minds are so strong and we can tell ourselves what we want to hear. And then not understand why we don't get what we want. And it is when we take that step back and bring that awareness, as you so beautifully just demonstrated, to actually really look at what's going on and what's happening in our body rather than what's happening in our mind. And that's when we can actually, see the truth of the situation and make the informed choice from there.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And so finally, what would you have to say if there's, because I know there's a lot of women out there, and I speak to a lot of women all the time who are in really similar situations to where you were when we first started working together. And what would you say to these women, if they're in this place and they're having these issues and they're thinking about doing this work, what would you say to them, knowing what you know, being on the other end of the journey?
Just be open and just go for it. Like you have to be open, you have to be ready to take it on. So it's worth it. Like it's so worth it. Life is better than what it is in that moment. It can get better, and with the right support person and with the right help, you can get there too. That was so corny, but it's so true.
I love it. It's really beautiful, because it was actually really from the heart. So, and I think that will really resonate with everybody who's watching this. All right, beautiful, Nikki. We will wrap it up there. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your journey. I know that's going to be really helpful to everyone who sees this.
Thank you.
Thank you.